Bergen, Norway's second largest city, has many fine modern buildings, but it has also a passionate interest in the past. Its prized wooden buildings bristle with fire extinguishers and sprinkler systems to ensure their permanent survival. The preserved buildings of the Briggen Museum are typical. Lining the inner end of the port, this was the trading centre of the Hanseatic merchants from the 14th century to the Reformation's early years. The houses are still in use for a variety of purposes: offices, restaurants, and artisans' workshops. The general daily market on the quayside attracts many tourists as well as locals and is well worth having a look at. Bergen is situated between 7 mountains, and the funicular trip to the top of Mount Flun provides excellent views over the city and its harbour, the gateway to the fjords. Leaving Bergen by express boat and passing through numerous coastal islands, the 98 nautical mile journey takes 4.5 hours to reach Leikanger, our first base on this nutshell tour. The Leikanger Fjord Hotel is situated about halfway along, overlooking the Sunderland, Norway's longest. 113 miles long, with a depth of more than 4,000 feet. The small village is backed by hillsides with countless fruit trees and is an ideal starting point for a variety of day trips, both on the fjords and to the mountains, as well as being a lovely area for walkers. Our first excursion was by a short bus ride from Leikanger to Helle, and thence by ferry for a 13-mile journey up the Fjelland Fjord, a narrow offshoot of the Sonjefjord. By comparison with those sleek, twin-hulled craft which you see skimming over the fjords, these car ferries are very slow, but at least they give a smoother ride and allow passengers to view the passing scenery in comfort. In any case, what consequence is time on a journey such as this? At Fjelland, the glacier centre on the edge of Norway's largest glacier, the Jostedalsbreen, gives an excellent widescreen film presentation, recreating the Ice Age and explaining how the fjords were formed. A mountain range, a river, an ice age, plus time. 3 million years, so we were told. That's what it took to make a fjord. From the centre, we were taken to the foot of the two arms of the Jostelsbreen, the Buye and Sufelle glaciers, an awe-inspiring experience. Our second excursion by express boat was along the Sonja Fjord before turning off into another of its branches, the Oeland Fjord, and then on to Flum, the lower terminus of the Flum Mountain Railway. Train journey from Flum to Mørdal is an experience not to be missed. 12 miles long, with an ascent of almost 3,000 feet and a gradient of 1 in 18, quite exceptional for a normal railway. The 40-minute journey passes through the steep Flum mountain valley, presenting a variety of natural wonders, and there are photographic stops. For instance, the mighty Kjosfoss waterfall, whose waters feed the hydroelectric generators which power the railway. Beyond Mørdal, the line links up with the main Bergen to Oslo railway. Leaving Leikanger by coach, the second leg of our nutshell tour was over the Vik Plateau for another photo stop, and for us to sample the crisp mountain air at 3,000 feet above sea level. Then it was on to Voss and the Fleischers Hotel, well situated overlooking Lake Vang. We were rather disappointed that there didn't appear to be any boat trips on the lake, but a flight on a seaplane might have interested someone more sprightly and more adventurous than us. Voss, at the heart of the fjord district, is a major tourist resort. Bombs of the last war laid most of the town in ruins, but thankfully didn't damage the 13th century stone church. Built in early Gothic style, the wooden octagonal steeple is of a style not to be found elsewhere in Norway. And here we have a traditional Norwegian wedding.
Thank you.
They're sent by cable car to the top of the Hangul mountain, 2,200 feet above sea level. Takes only 4 minutes. From the top, views of Voss town and the surrounding countryside. And from the cafeteria sun terrace, there is easy access to a vast mountain area with many trails for walking and hiking. And there are facilities for horse riding. Somewhere in this region there's a launch pad for paragliders, which we did not find. But we managed to catch one in the descent. Our final excursion on this nutshell tour was by train on the main line from Bergen to Oslo, as far as Myrdal, for another trip on the Flum Railway, this time on the descent. Downhill it takes 53 minutes, uphill only 40 minutes. Braking is the problem on the downward stretch because of the gradients, and the carriages are fitted with no less than 5 different braking circuits, any of which is sufficient to stop the train. Across at the landing stage, waiting for us to board, Atløy is a good example of the boats of its period. Built in 1931, it carried cargo and passengers in both fjord and coastal waters in the west of Norway. Sold by its owners in 1974, it was bought by some boat enthusiasts and restored to its present condition. Leaving Flom, Atløy sailed up the Aurlandsfjord. Where the fjord walls are almost vertical, so the water offshore may be formidably deep. After a courtesy call at the small village of Undredal, the ship turned into the Njørefjord, the narrowest fjord in Europe. Atløy, 87 feet long, claims to have 3 lavish saloons and plentiful deck space to accommodate 80 passengers, a claim which we would dispute. On the banks of the fjord, there are small settlements where the terrain permits. And over on the right bank, Backer Church. Built in 1800, is one of the smallest in Norway. Capacity, 40 souls. We left the ship at Gudvangen for a coach journey back to Voss, conscious of the fact that our voyage on Atloy might not have been as comfortable as we would have liked. It was an unusual experience, nevertheless. The train approaching Voss took us back to Bergen, where our nutshell tour began. For another look at the famous fish market. Smoked salmon was a very popular buy, but not cheap. And an hour's sightseeing tour on Bergen's Expressen. But from whatever view we looked at this fabulous city, we shall remember it always as the gateway to the fjords.